You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
All right, Rich, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Absolutely, man. Stoked to chat with you here. So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself, but also where you're calling in from today.
Well, I'm calling in from beautiful Portland, Maine. Definitely a lot colder than down in Puerto Rico. Nice, crisp 20-something degrees today. Something interesting, we're putting on our first ever Fast Forward Maine conference this year. This is a new brand because I wasn't busy enough. So we're doing a conference that's all about helping businesses grow here in the Pine Tree State.
Oh, very cool. Is it kind of like, is it a separate business than what you do now?
Yeah, it's so we have Flight New Media. That's my day job. And then I've got the Agents of Change, which is a weekly podcast and an annual conference that happens here in Portland, Maine, and we live stream it around the world. And I've always wanted to do something, though, that was local. And in partnering with a bank, Machia Savings Bank, they wanted to position themselves as a business bank. And so they're basically working with me to create another weekly podcast and then also some in-person workshops. And for the first time ever, we're actually going to be rolling out a full day conference that's all about helping businesses grow. So it's a little bit of a side project more than a side business.
Oh, very cool. Well, that's exciting. I think from a community standpoint, being able to do something local is probably pretty exciting for you.
I do. You know, Maine is based with a lot of small businesses, so love connecting with local people. I love connecting with people from afar too, but it's always nice to know that you're going to run into somebody in the streets of Portland, Maine.
I'm working on doing this, something similar here in Puerto Rico to help out.
Nice.
Hopefully some aspiring entrepreneurs here soon, so that's exciting. So tell me a little bit about Flight New Media, what the company does, maybe what value it brings to the marketplace.
Sure. Well, we're actually celebrating our 23rd year in business. Just turned 23, which is crazy. It's like 1.6 million in digital marketing years.
Yeah.
And I've been designing websites and doing search engine optimization and more recently social media, content creation, podcast, video, basically anything that can be delivered digitally. So we just work with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses and actually a few big businesses too, but usually like some small department within that larger enterprise. And basically just they outsource their digital marketing to us and we take care of it and we work with their team and help them do what they do best while we sink our teeth into the stuff that we get most excited about.
Are there specific types of a demographic that your company has been bringing on?
We probably do more B2B than B2C, but really part of the fun is just working with all these different clients. So, you know, we might work with a doggy daycare in the morning, and then we move into a financial planner in the afternoon, and then we're doing a company that creates glass blocks for interior decoration. And then all of a sudden we're working with a company that builds and maintains conveyor belts. So that could be a typical day for Flight New Media.
Okay, yeah, definitely all over the spectrum, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are people focusing more on, let's talk a little bit digital marketing, because sometimes I like to go out the beaten path when I know a little bit more about the topic, but also to try to give some entrepreneurs some idea of where the market trends are, right? Because either way, if it's not going to be heavy ad spend, it's going to be heavy SEO spend, or not heavy spend in general, but just where their strategy is. Social media marketing is getting expensive. So is Google. The algorithms are kind of like changing up. We've seen that. We read about it, but I've noticed it personally with my companies. Is SEO still winning the game on putting more time and effort and attention in there, or are you still kind of pushing more a holistic approach strategy for your clients?
I definitely think it's a holistic approach in terms of, if you can think of it almost like an equalizer and just trying to figure out different businesses are going to need to ramp up their SEO or their local SEO or their paid search. Others might be focused more on Instagram or getting more business out of LinkedIn. So I think every business needs to figure out exactly where their customers are and put that focus there. And I think these days, because like you said, social media is getting more expensive. It's getting a lot more competitive. It's getting a lot more competitive in search too. Like, 10, 15 years ago, I could get anybody to the top of page one in Google, but now everybody kind of understands the value there, so everybody's investing time and energy there. So there's stuff you can do, but it's kind of like if you're at a concert, general admission, getting from, say, 200 yards back to 50 yards up front is not too hard, but getting from 50 yards up front to the front row is almost impossible unless you're willing to throw some elbows in the mosh pit. So it gets more difficult and challenging the closer you want to get to number one in search. But we've kind of swung the pendulum where we jumped in early to social media for ourselves and for our clients, early investors in all that sort of platforms and technology. But I personally, probably starting about 5 years ago, have started to shift back and putting more of our focus both for Flight and for our clients on SEO, because I really do believe that when people are on Google, they have a pain point. You want to be there to solve that pain point. So just running a business myself, yes, social is important, but in terms of actually making those sales, I look to search and then ultimately get somebody on my mailing list. So that's kind of our technique.
I think that's really most businesses. So even if you're a service-based business and you're listening, or a product-based business, I think that I try to simplify it, because we can talk about the analytics and the cost per acquisitions and the cost per leads and all that, and then also if you even have the people to support those leads, right? There's a lot that goes into it, and I get it.
Absolutely.
However, I think the way that I try to sum it up to our listeners is that I'd like to say, and this, you may or not agree with it, which I'd love to have that conversation with you, is SEO will win the game Google will win the game, whether it's AdWords on Google and or SEO, because it's your idea. It's that person's idea. Of course, that's just an organic search. That's their idea. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, you're creating the idea. You got to have a good enough content. Copy's going to run it, I think, still. Not creating clickbait. That's like, sure, you might get a lot of clicks, but you can conversions. So I just want to break this down, where I think that a lot of clients out there of any marketing agency, and maybe of yours, is that they might view clicks and all these things as a win, but we got to remember what the ROI is on these things and realize that I feel that the SEO game, personally, my 2 cents on it is, like you said, is sure, it's long-term. If you just can go away from your instant gratification world that everybody wants. And I'm sure
right.
you hear this all the time, especially as a marketing agency, like, why don't I get anything? It's been a week, right? I get it. I can take time. Yeah. That's probably the story of your life. I get it. And sometimes I was that guy initially until I understood it. But yes, it takes some time to build that SEO value, but it will be organic and really good leads versus let me go out there and see what sticks in the social. And you can definitely target really well. I get it in the social media, Facebook, Instagram world. However, from an idea where it roots from, Google wins the game.
I feel that for a lot of businesses, and like I said, we work B2B, B2C, so it's different for every business. Sure. But the thing is, it's like when you get in front of somebody on a search results page like Google, you know that they need your product or service. But when you get in front of them on social media, whether you paid to get in front of them or you just organically got there, they may have zero interest or zero need for your product at that point, and that's just the nature of the game. There are benefits and detriments to both approaches, which is why I wouldn't say just do one thing. And the other thing that we also need to think about, and because every one of these platforms is getting more congested, I think what really is going to win the game going forward, 2020 and beyond, is you have to have some really amazing ideas. You know, you have to be something that really stands out, because everybody knows how to post to Facebook. Everybody knows how to have an optimized website these days. Those are table stakes. So you need to create something that's remarkable that people are going to want to talk about, which is not easy to do. And then the other thing that I'm talking to a lot of people about, because we used to be all inbound, but now we're also outbound. We do live events. We go out and meet with people. You have to be willing to shift. So if things are getting really congested online, in social, in search, you also need to start thinking about putting some of your marketing into in-person events or networking events, even if you don't feel comfortable with it. And at the end of the day, you don't necessarily get business from getting somebody to like something on Facebook, but getting them to have a lunch meeting with you or a phone call or an in-person meeting somewhere, that can lead to real business. And I feel that a lot of entrepreneurs, and I get this when you're first starting out, it's all about let's get new customers, but there comes a point in your business where you have to put the focus on let's keep customers. Let's keep customers coming back to us. Let's build those relationships. Let's get so entrenched they can't imagine life without us. And we do such a good job, they want to tell all their friends. And that's really how you grow a business. Digital marketing is fantastic, but it is just a means to an end, which is to get enough business so that we can keep our employees happy and fed, the lights on, and we continue to grow and do what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. If you're out there getting new business every year and recreating that business line every year, yeah, if you're looking for a valuation standpoint, like it's not going to look good on paper, right? If you don't have a return clientele, like from an acquisitional standpoint, doesn't look great. Just so you guys know, if you're out there looking to sell in 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, you got to show a show that you have return clientele, because it just shows bottom line that it's a simple measurement for an investor or a buyer to say, oh, this guy, they figured it out. They have people coming back for a reason. And then also we can talk about it all day until we're blue in the face on how much more expensive it is to get new clients than it is to keep your existing ones, right? We can go into that cost, but it's just a lot more, like extremely a lot more. And it's a lot more fun at some point. It'd be nice to be able to just manage clients or manage people that are buyers already versus go out there and be diehard getting more and more. So I fell into that. I'm also a victim of that, man. Maybe the first few years, you're right. It was money, money, money. I just got to get it in the door. Then you start realizing the importance of retention. What do you think? Why do you think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there? Just some advice. You've been in business 20 plus years, 23 years, you just mentioned, right? Like, why do you think there's a lot of businesses out there, or business entrepreneurs, I guess, that decide to just throw in the towel? Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8-to-5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellevis.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's michaellevis.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help.
Throw in the towel. Well, I've definitely over the 23 years seen a lot of my friends and colleagues throw in the towel. And when I say throw in the towel, I mean like they've gone to work for a bigger company, they sold their company, or they just walked away from it, whatever the case is. And I've seen a number of reasons. And I think one of the big ones is burnout. The bottom line is people have this vision of being an entrepreneur. I'll be able to work whenever I want. It'll be really easy. I can make my own schedule. I'll be able to go skiing, or whether it's on the mountain or in the ocean, whenever I want to. Yeah. And yes, to a degree, you do have a lot of flexibility in terms of I could take today off if I needed to, but there is a lot of work, and I'd say almost more work. So you really have to be passionate about the work, and you also have to be passionate about the grind, because there is grind, at least at the beginning. Over time, maybe after 23 years, when you have a beard as white as mine, then you can start to, and you've actually been very successful. You don't have any gray hair, but the bottom line is, you have to first start and you have to enjoy the grind. And then you can hire people that you can train up and they can take some of that grind off, so you can focus on the areas that you bring, your best game to. Like, I don't do the best SEO in my company anymore, but I have a guy who does. I don't do the best social, but I have a woman who does. So it's like, that's part of it. So I think you have to be reasonable about what you can do. I think you need to bake in self-care time, so that you can really take care of yourself and your family and your friends, because burnout is just way too easy. I think people just assume that the entrepreneurial lifestyle, because they've seen TV shows, that everything's going to work out great and you're going to get some deal from Mark Cuban or the guy from The Profit's going to come in and save your business. But that's not how 99.99% of us entrepreneurs experience it.
Yeah, I love that. Great sound bombs there, man. Like you're scratching me where I itch when it comes to the passion side, and also just the delegation thing. So I think the takeaways there is that you got to be passionate. You got to know how to delegate, because great entrepreneurs and CEOs and business owners surround themselves with people better than who they are, right? At Absolutely. What they do. And that's sometimes hard for the type A guy, for the pride guy or the pride woman to be like, no, I got this. Then you're going to be the chief everything officer and you're going to cap. There's no scalability to that, right? And I think there's
you become the bottleneck at every point in your business.
Absolutely.
Just recently, I want to turn your listeners onto this book that I got turned on to recently. It's called Rocket Fuel. And my thing is, I always felt guilty about giving people crap jobs in my office, because, even though I did it, I felt bad about giving them some grunt work. but I have to get past that. And ultimately, so I was turned on to this book, Rocket Fuel, which has this model where at the top of the org chart in your company is a visionary and then an integrator. And I don't like the term visionary for myself. It sounds very full of myself. But the description of the visionary, somebody who has 100 ideas a week, who never seems to finish anything, who, likes to be on stage, that did sound a lot like me. And then the integrator, somebody who likes to be on the sidelines, likes to create systems, likes the engine to run smoothly, takes the best idea from the 100 ideas and actually puts the resources so it'll get done. That sounded exactly like my project manager, who's now my director of operations. So in 2020, we adopted this model, and that hopefully is going to focus me on where I bring the most value and focus my director of operations on where she brings the most value to the company. So I'd recommend that book, especially if you've got a couple employees. Check it out and see if that doesn't help you really grow your business and keep your sanity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're right. Because a lot of entrepreneurs out there go out there and they build a business, which is fine, but they either build a job, right? They build themselves their own job, which is fine. You're not going to walk away out of the gate, guys, unless you maybe have some e-commerce deal that's just self-running. I get it. But if you're service-based, there's going to be people, there's going to be management, there's going to be drama, there's going to be HR. But when it's all said and done, man, you can't, if you build a business based around you just became your own worst boss, right? And that's really tough to do when you're trying to do everything. And like I said, from a scalability standpoint, you will cap at some point. What are you excited about currently within the digital marketing agency world?
That's a good question. So, I don't know if I'd say excited about it, but things that I'm watching. One is artificial intelligence. I don't expect that I'm necessarily going to be creating things in AI, but I do see that more and more of the tools have AI and machine learning built in. That's one thing I've got my eye on. Privacy is another big thing. We've got these new laws coming out of California that took effect on January 1st. There's GDPR, or RP, I always forget, from a few years ago that's having some impact, and just people being more aware of their privacy and what these platforms are doing. It's going to make us as marketers, it's going to be more difficult to reach our ideal customers. And then the third thing that I'm paying a lot of attention to is the idea of personalization versus being personal. And what I mean by that is I'm seeing a lot of tools that automate everything and create personal messages either via email or even LinkedIn. And I think people think like that's the same thing as being personal. No, it's personalization. I can enter your name like I'm doing a mail merge, but it's not the same thing as me getting onto one of these platforms and having a one-on-one conversation like with you, Mike. That's personal. That's being personal. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in early stages, need to leverage their personality, their passion, and their connections to really grow their business at the beginning. So I would take some of your time and do non-scalable work in 2020 to really build the relationships that ultimately will become critical to your overall growth and also finding that work-life balance.
Yeah, no, I think the personal approach is big. And it also comes back to the marketing and the sales side where we have, things like Zoom, really cool, whether it's Hangout, Zoom, something where you can simply just do a FaceTime with clients. People don't do that, right? I mandate it in my sales world because it's like, yes, create a personal contact where I can talk to people. We don't have to be doing a video. This is a podcast. I know that the majority of people don't want to look at, our radio faces on, that's fine. All right. No worries. However, when it's all said and done, maybe some people want to watch, and does it just give me another platform to post on? Yeah, of course, that's really where it comes down to, right?
And also you and I are making eye contact now. So we're having a different conversation that we 100%. Might have otherwise. And I do believe that video conferencing, as well as putting videos and things like email as well, is really powerful to making connections. You're down in Puerto Rico. I'm in the top right corner of the United States. Like there's not it's not easy for me to meet with a lot of people, but using these tools, they're going to get the closest thing to me without actually being in the room with me. And those are powerful tools to leverage, not to rely on to be like, I'll never leave my office, I'll just do Zoom, but to make those weak connections stronger. That does make a big difference.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. So tell me a little bit about your plan. Like, you built a company for 23 years. You've been, obviously it's succeeding and growing. What is building the life that you want to live? What does that look like for you, Rich?
Yeah. So I would say that now that we've got some of the things in place, in the last 3 or 4 years, I really took a look. I was always good at sales and marketing. What I wasn't so good at was the financial sides, the HR side, the operation side. In the last couple of years, I made a concerted effort to put those into place. A couple of years ago, because I know you talk a lot about work-life balance. A couple of years ago, after 21 years running my business, I said, I need to take a sabbatical. I've never had one. I was going through a divorce, amicable, but I was going through a divorce. I have 2 teenage girls, and I took a month off in the summer. I bought a pop-up RV, or pop-up, like a camper, and I took my 2 girls, and we drove across America for a month. Awesome. Like memories that we'll never forget, right? So really important stuff. It was, it wasn't always easy, but it was epic. And that was fantastic. And knowing that my company could survive that stress test, that was critical, right? So I prepared for that. I wouldn't mind doing some more of these. My girls now, one is about to leave for college, another one a couple years behind. I'm going to have a lot more flexibility. Me and my girlfriend want to travel. Maybe we'll do a podcast on the road. So again, getting my company to the point where it's running without me, but I still get to do it because I'm still passionate about everything we do. I love being on stage. I love meeting with people. I love figuring out the problems in their business and helping them fix it. I want to be doing more of that and less of like, who's going to buy the birthday cake for whose ever birthday it is, and we get to deal with this HR problem. So I want to do more adulting, I guess, is what I'm talking about within my own business, and hopefully continue to mentor some younger people in the community who are looking to me for advice or how'd you get here. I get a lot more of those questions all the time now.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and that's a lot of fun. It's fun for what I do, and for people that I coach. I really sincerely enjoy that. You can't be everywhere and everything to everybody, but it just feels good, right? And a lot of people say we chase a feeling in life, and I think that feeling of the sabbatical, going out, realizing that you built memories of a lifetime, but also you have that peace of mind that, listen, sure, some things may or may not fall apart, but it's able to simply run and the engine is going without you there is a really good feeling. Plus you come back really just like your mind from a mindset standpoint, you come back really fresh, and sometimes and you come back with some really awesome ideas, right?
Absolutely. I think it's important to get away from the office, whether it's like for lunch or whether it's for a 1 month sabbatical. Yeah. Walk around in nature. If you've got nature near you, just get some fresh air. The bottom line is that's incredibly valuable to your sanity as well as to everything you bring to the table as an entrepreneur.
Rich, if there's one piece of parting advice that you'd give to the business and life peeps out there listening, what would that be?
I would say, if I could go back to my younger self, find a mentor. Know what you do well, and then find a mentor or a business coach or a mastermind, because that's really going to speed up your learning, and you're also going to be able to make new connections because you can't do it all. So figure out what you're best at, and then find partners, employees, contractors, whatever, to take care of all the stuff that you don't want to do or you're not good at doing, and your work is going to become so much more rewarding for you.
Rich, thanks so much for your time today, for dropping your knowledge bombs and your story. We really appreciate it.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.